Good Wednesday evening, listeners, and welcome to Conversations of a Sister here on YouTube. I thank you for tuning in tonight for tonight's conversation, tonight's discussion. I will entertain your calls on my business line. If you want to call and share your story or share your message, you can. You can call me 973-664-7810. I will take your call in the studio tonight. You may call 973-664-7810. Tonight's topic, tonight's discussion, tonight's conversation is: have you ever gone out of character in your relationships? Have you ever gone out of character in your relationships? Why am I asking this question? You may be wondering, or you may wonder. You know that a lot of my conversations, a lot of my topics of conversation comes from conversations that I have with my girlfriends or my friends throughout the week. And a lot of times it builds up into these discussions. A lot of the conversations, as one of my friends stated, happens on my blog because I blog about the topic and then I give it to you live. So this week in conversation with uh, my crony, she and I was having a discussion about when people come out of character in relationships. She said that she made a comment. She said that we don't know what we will do until we are in certain situations. That's what she said. She said, we don't know what we're capable of doing until we are in certain situations. And that's very true. You don't know what you're capable of, and so you are in certain situations. However, this friend of mine said that if you are capable of it, then it is in you. There's no such thing as, you come out of character. His thing is, if you are capable of it, then it is in you. Is it really in you? I don't know. I don't know. I think that people can take you out of character to a point wherein you have a reaction and you don't realize that you're going to react a certain way until you're actually reacting. That's why they say that you should be calm, listen more, react less. That does not always work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I guess it just depends on the individual. But we were having this conversation this week because, you know, we know people who tend to not react at all. Uh, they remain calm at all costs because it's just not in them. Some people just feel like, they're too dignified to really give people a reaction. And that's fine too. I guess it depends on um, what you're reacting to. Now, for example, I have a I have a niece who is currently separated from her husband. She's in the process of going through a divorce. And, she's beautiful, educated, and mature, extremely mature. And she handles things differently because, everybody's their own individual. So, because of this, uh, her reaction to, you know, her divorce is very calm. Some people deal with things at night when they're alone, not openly, you know, in front of others or in front of people, and possibly not even her soon to be ex husband. But my thing is this: some people uh, cannot take it when they are arbitrarily disrespected. Yeah, I'm talking about disrespect. You guys know I'm going to sip on my mint tea as I have this conversation. And for me, my niece was arbitrarily disrespected. you know, her husband was having an affair with a young girl. And on top of that, I think he had bought her gifts of some sort. And she knew about the gifts, and he had the gifts tucked away and hidden in his car. Really? I thought to myself, so what did you do? I didn't do anything. I knew the gifts were there, but I just didn't do anything. So I was listening to that and I was like, wow, she's good. She didn't come out of character at all. But in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, that's so disrespectful. Because after all, he's still married to her. After all, he still has a commitment, maybe not to her, but at least to the marriage, to the vow. But evidently, he didn't. He took it and he threw it all away because my niece is the wife and he has girlfriends, gifts for the girlfriend in his car. So in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, she's good because I would get a bat, I would bust that window, I would burn the gifts in the car along with it. But see, no, she didn't do that because she's just dignified. It's just not her personality to do it. And I used to be that way. I have to laugh because even I can't believe it. I used to be that way. I used to be that way when I was in my 20s because when you're a little bit younger, you just tend to be a little bit more calm. You're just a little bit, just a tad bit gullible. You have that innocence, and then it's like as you experience things in life, uh, it changes you. It really does. It changes you. And it's almost like you have very little tolerance for that type of behavior. So when I listen to that, I'm like, okay, she's not there yet. And that's fine. But that is a disrespect that would have taken me, yeah, out of character. Sometimes I can go out of character with just a thought. Just the thought of things takes me out of character. So I say that to say that a lot of times in our relationships, we can go to a certain point wherein we will get out of character. I don't know. I can't necessarily say that is in me. Maybe it is. I don't know. All I know is that I don't take disrespect well. It depends on your level of disrespect. Now, marriage, that's a big deal because you're supposed to be in a committed marriage to the person you're married to. And when you disrespect the sanction of that union, I don't know, for me, that's pretty much a big deal. If she would have called me and said, well, I put the car on fire, and then I would have asked her why. And she said, well, he had his girlfriend's gifts inside. I mean, oh, hell, I can understand that. Because to me, I would be like, well, that's justified. You did it, you did it. Hell, you had to do it. Because it's just some things that we're not going to tolerate, or we can't tolerate, or someone will push us to the brink. I remember when I would hang out with my girlfriend back in the day. One of my girlfriends, a lot of my girlfriends got married young, and my girlfriend had gotten married young, and her husband was cheating on her. And I think their car was in her name. I think their car. It might have been her car. I can't remember, but it was in her name. It was a luxury foreign car, and he was taking that car and he was driving it to his girlfriend's house. And she would ask me to go on stakeouts with her, and we would stake out the girl's house while he was inside with her car. So one Friday night, we were sitting in front of his girlfriend's house while he was in there until the wee hours of the morning. Until finally I said, well, girl, what we gonna do? That's your car, so I know you're not gonna flatten the tires or bust the window. What we gonna do? And she said, I don't know, but I want to do something. And I was like, well, let's see. That's your car. Car's in your name. Why don't you call and report it stolen? And then give them the address as to where you think it is and let them come and get it. That's exactly what she did. She reported the car stolen. A tow truck came and got the car. So when her husband decided to come home, when he came home, it was like, oh, so what happened to the car? And then after that, you know, all hell broke loose. I mean, my girlfriend didn't shoot him or pull out a gun or anything, but she just lit her cigarette and sipped on her Pepsi and said, well, there's the car in the driveway. I guess you see it. So therefore, you know that I know where it was. I filed for a divorce and it's over. So the only way, or the only type of character she went out of was is that she woke up. She felt like, that was like her biggest wake up call. But she still felt like he took her out of character because, here we were sitting outside the girlfriend's house at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, who does that? Women. Women do it. And I guess women also do it when, you know, they're in love or they care about someone. But I think that we have to know what our limits are. I was reading a lot of comments on the blog because I try and do so before I go live. And, a lot of the women, a lot of you young women, you young ladies said that, you know, it only took one time or one thing to take you out of character. And after that, you never went out of character again because some of you felt like it wasn't worth it or he wasn't worth it. He's just not worth going to jail. But when you're hurt and you're pushed to the brink, there are some things that you will do. But you have to know that the things that you're going to do is not going to put you in a position that you're going to risk your life. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, you never want to do that. That's never worth it. So, come on. I know that some of you have gone out of character in your relationships. I mean, some of you may not even want to admit it or not even think about it. But if you've grown beyond that point, that's fine. But you're not going to know that you've grown beyond that point until you're tested in that particular area again. Because I noticed with just a write up on my blog, it brought out a lot of triggers in people. Some of the brothers didn't want to talk about when, I guess, they went out of character or they took someone out of character because of some of the things that happened to them. I also read a comment when one young lady said that, she always aspired to bust the front window of her boyfriend's car because that was the most expensive window to replace. And she also commenced to, I think she said, tearing off his windshield wipers. And in the end, with that, she cut her fingers. So for her, she felt like it was worth it because she didn't feel the pain. But that anger took her out of character. And she took that anger out on the car. So I'm like, wow, that's deep, but it took her out of character. I think that if we've gone there at some point in our lives, we have to own up to what was done, how it was done, and how we handled it. And I think that we have to look at where we are now and say, would I handle it that way again? Or would I do that again? And if you're in those same relationships, hopefully it wasn't so bad that you couldn't learn from it or grow from it or discuss it together and decide that, we're not going there again. I think that a lot of times I have to agree with a lot of the comments that were on my blog that when 9 times out of 10, when a female goes out of character, it is due to infidelity. She finds out that, her boyfriend, husband, partner, significant other is cheating on her or, seeing someone else. Then a lot of times, yeah, women will, come out of character. There was one comment a young lady stated that she was dating this man, and his car, every time she spent the night, his car would be vandalized the next morning. Window missing, bleach poured on it, glue stuck to the door, flat tires. And it didn't register with her that it was another female until they ruined his car and hers as well. And I think they even wrote a note on her vehicle. And I guess because she wasn't getting it. So the note in spray paint was going to make her get it. Of course it would. Why wouldn't it? And she didn't get lethal, but that woman got lethal. Whatever other woman he was seeing got lethal. And that was the wake up call for her, that he was not only cheating on her, but, it's a possibility that somebody could get hurt. And when it's those situations, yeah, you should absolutely get out of it. And yeah, a man should not put you in that type of predicament. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. It should never be that way. But sometimes it's not even that type of predicament. Sometimes it can be something simple. Like, for example, I'm going to share a time when I came out of character. And trust and believe this is really hard for me. But I'm going to do it because, you know, let's be raw. We're getting naked. So at the time, this guy was my boyfriend. I was dating him. And he lived in another state. And of course, you all know that I live in the tri state area. And I don't know, I think he kept talking about coming here for my birthday. I don't remember. But I don't know if it was supposed to be a surprise. I don't know. All I know is that as my birthday approached, he wasn't talking about it. And then it was like at one time, um, he was talking about going away for the weekend and how, you know, he was gonna just go away for this weekend. And I thought, wow, okay, so what weekend is he going away? But I think he went away the weekend that was either before my birthday or 2 weekends before my birthday. But it just appeared to be a secret, you know? It was like a secret. And I was like, well, what is the secret? That he is away. Like, why is it like this big secret? So at the time, I was doing a lot of work for him. So I had access to his accounts and his social security number. And what I did was I was anxious to see, where he went, how he went. And I think I logged into his email because I had access to his email. And I saw that he had taken a trip to Vegas, or he was in Las Vegas. And right away, my mind just started spinning with thoughts. And I think the worst thing we could do as women or as people is think, especially when your mind races. And I just like had all kinds of thoughts. I was like, he's in Vegas. The first thing as female, as a woman that you think is, who's he with? That's number one. Number two is, why is it a secret? Did he buy the ticket for another person? Is he there seeing someone? Is his girlfriend? Like, you just start thinking a whole bunch of things, especially when it's supposed to be a secret. But all of these thoughts were mine. So what I did was I just had to know. I was going crazy. I needed to know. So because I had all of his information, I went in to his bank account and I basically changed his password just to spy on him. I wanted to see if he was using his ATM card. And if he was, where was he using it at? Was I able to detect if it was for one person or for two? Now this really sounds crazy because when I think back on it, it was. And what I did was I was so angry, I spoke to my sister about it. And now my sister don't bite her tongue. She gonna always tell me the truth. So I told her. I told her what I did. And I was talking like normal. I was like, yeah, girl, and blah, 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 blah. And I went in and I blah, 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 blah. She said, wait a minute, back up. What? I said, yeah, I went in and blah, blah, blah. She said, are you crazy? She was like, you should never do that. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Now, I was just being nosy. I just wanted to see. I just wanted to spy on him. But at the end of the day, it was wrong. It was devious. But I felt like I just had to know because it was driving me crazy. And when I think about it now, I sometimes laugh because I'm like, it was ridiculous that I took it there when it probably could have been solved with a conversation. But I also set it up wherein I wanted to give him the opportunity to tell me. And it was like he wasn't. It was like I knew he went to Vegas, but it was like he wasn't talking about it too much. So for me, it sounded all the more sneakier. But I think that at the end of the day, going into his account or changing his password to be nosy, it was wrong. Now, that for me was out of character. I had never done anything like that before in my life. The only bank account that I've ever spied on was my father's. So that that was a trip, but I did it and I owned up to it. No, I didn't steal money. That was not my goal. I didn't need the money. I didn't need his money or whatever. I just wanted to see. I was just being nosy out of jealousy and curiosity. That's it. And I think that I could talk about it now because it happened many years ago. And when I look back on it, it was ridiculous. But it was something that I did. And it was something that brought me out of character. So when I was having that conversation with my girlfriend this week, and it was something she said, and I said, this is why we have to be careful as to who we hook up with. Because I would have done X, Y, A, B, C, D. And she said, oh, wow. She started laughing. And she said, well, maybe, you shouldn't be married to that type of person, or maybe this is something that would just come out of you. That's what she said. So, and then when I talked to another friend of mine, he was like, well, no, it's something that, you know, may just be in you. I don't know if it's in you. I don't know if it can come out of you. I just know that when certain things happens, it can. We will have things that will push us to the limit. I think that we have to just decide how far we are going to go. And then when we go that far and we look at how it brought us out of character, we have to make a judgment on ourselves that we'll never allow ourselves to go there again. And that before we do, we will dismiss ourselves from those types of situations. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's saying that anyone is perfect. People have gone out of character in their relationships. You have some women who don't want men to see them trip. You have some men who don't want women to see them trip. So what they do is they maintain their composure and they deal with it in private or they deal with it behind closed doors. That's just like a guy I know. He got dumped on a very important day. He was hurt by it. It bothered him because he was like, wow, I can't believe she did that. He was really, really broken by it, but he dealt with it uh, as maturely as possible. And he was hurt by it. And, you're right, to all you blog readers and blog listeners or listeners out there, men do not react the same way women do. Women act based upon emotion. Men do not. A man is not going to go bust out the window of another man's car or flatten the tires of another man's car men will react and handle hurt differently, but they do get hurt and they decide to deal with it privately. Just like some women will do the same. But we can't say that we've never come out of character because we have in all of our relationships at some point or another. But I think that is something that we should look back on and grow from. We should not stay where we are. And if it is within you, I pray that it's something that we work on because we all can. We all can work on something because the goal is to get better and not remain bitter. And at some point, when we go through these different hurts and these roller coasters in life, it can hurt us to the point of bitterness. But we have to decide that we're not going to stay there, that we're going to go from bitter to better. And it's a process. It's not one that is quick. It is not one that is fast, but it is a process that we need to live through and that we need to grow through. And we have to do it at our own pace. And we have to remove ourselves from those things that are going to take us there. Just remember that. Because trust me, who wants to go out of character? We all try to remain our best. And we have to, at the end of the day, protect our peace because peace is priceless. And trust me, it's hard to come by. I thank you for tuning in tonight. I thank you for joining the conversation, whether it be here on my blog or on one of my social media pages. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week for next week's conversation. Have a good night.